Hey guys, hello, welcome back in this training. Now in this training, we're gonna discuss about a Zscaler Tunnel 2 troubleshooting tool, right? This is a tool which is, a troubleshooting tool for a user system for the Tunnel 2.0, troubleshooting. So basically, this tool will give us, so many options that we can change the tunnel, TLS or DTLS protocol, from TLS to DTLS, DTLS to TLS. You can change the system MTU, ZCC, MTU. We can enable, disable the, the debugging logging. Also, we can, change the packet capture timing. By default, that's 5 minutes, right? We can change it to, to a certain time. I'll let you know what's that time. And also we can ignore, change the keep alive timing as well. Now, what is that troubleshooting tool? So that troubleshooting tool is basically this, which is http colon double slash 127.0.0.1 colon 9000, right? And then slash z config question mark q equals to, and then this is dollar sign, and this is then the domain or a username you have used to log in your ZCC application. For example, in my case, this is training at shapeskills.in. That's the domain I used. Now, how this looks like, right? So let me just quickly open this URL in the browser and tell you that how this looks like. So this is how it gonna look like, right? When you open this URL in the browser, this is how it looks like. Let's just discuss first, and before we go ahead and play with this, let's just discuss what it is. So right, by now that this is 127.0.0.1 is basically the IP, the self IP, right? And the port is the one which is ZCC is listing on. Okay, this is the port you should have. You should check what's the port for you. If you go to your mobile portal and then you go to administration settings, right? And then you go to the client connector support, right? And then you have that option under the word is okay. I think it is no. Is it no here? Not here. Where it is? I think I forgot that option. It's somewhere here. Yeah, the endpoint integration. Do you see? So the Zscaler client connector listening port. So that's 9000, and that's why I use the 9000 here. If you have configured a different port, make sure you change it to a different port. Okay. Now, how, I mean, in order to use this troubleshooting tool, you should have certain configuration enabled, right? So you can see, I I I copied this URL, right? I changed it to my username, my domain. I entered it, and I can see the Zscaler user configuration, and there are certain options available for me, right? However, if I go to this mobile portal, and from there, if I go to the app fail open, not here, user privacy, right? If I go to the user privacy setting and I disable this option, which is allow end user to override tunnel 2.0 or ZPA protocol setting. Let's say if I enable this option, okay, I change this option now. Let me just go ahead and update the ZCC policies. Okay, I think I'll have to this is some kind of a, yeah. So see, as soon as I disabled this setting, right, allow end user to overwrite on a 2.0 configuration, I cannot access it, right? As soon as I enter that URL again, it says it's disabled. So to access this troubleshooting tool, right, you need to have this option enabled. So let me just enable this option one more time, save the configuration, open Zscaler client connector, update the policy, and let's see. Okay. Let it update. Okay. Now, one thing to remember that this is the setting, right? The configuration you're doing, that's a global setting. Once you do it for one, this would be for everyone. So I enable that setting, and I can see that the Zscaler user configuration troubleshooting tool is open for me. Okay, one thing. Now, you may asking, why do we need this, right? I mean, we know already, we can see these options, that these are the options we have, but why do we need it? So what happens at time, right? You may have a configuration. For example, you may have a app profile, right? Like this I have, and then there is a forwarding profile associated with it, right? And then there may be a maybe 10, 1000, 2000, 10,000, right? So many users using this app profile and this forwarding profile, right? But let's say if you have one, two, three, or four, five users reporting problem that they're facing, for example, slowness, right? And you know, and yeah, and maybe there are users, a few users only, 2, 3, 4, 5 number of users, right? Only a small segment. They're reporting a certain URL, problems or certain application issue, and then you want to capture traffic for it, right? And then if you use Zscaler client connected start packet capture option, this one it would only run for 5 minutes, right? So let's say if you having a application, right, which you wanna which you run, and to reproduce that problem it may take more than 5 minutes. In that case it becomes very hard for you to capture the traffic which you really interested in, right? So in that case, either you go ahead and change the settings, in the profile itself. For example, change it to TLS, DTLS. You go to the forwarding profile and then you change it, and that would change for everyone else, right? Whoever using that application profile and associated forwarding profile. Maybe you don't want to change the MTU for others, all other users, because they not have a problem. Only certain users or few users having problem, and if you change it in the profile it may impact these users as well, right? So for that purpose, this is the one of the great tools Zscaler created. uh, and it will help you to to do certain troubleshooting for a user specific, and that will help you to to isolate the problem very quickly. Now we know that what is this URL, what is this tool, what this is used for, right? And how to enable and disable this tool. Okay, that's great. Now let us quickly discuss about the tool itself. Okay, the pack file option is default, right? Let's just ignore it. This is not very often you're going to use. The protocol is the one which is the one which you would use very often, right? So let's say if I have enabled the Zscaler client connector, ZCC may going and reconnecting state a couple of times, right? And I could see that this is a DTLS tunnel coming from this user, and I may think that DTLS packet having problem with switching to TLS, DTLS, and GCC causing problem there. To isolate the problem, whether it's a problem of a DTLS protocol, I can simply go to the TLS, save the setting, and if it says success, I would simply see that GCC would move to the TLS, right, protocol. If I change it to TTLS once again and I save this configuration, it says success, and I could see that ZCC is changed as a tunnel 2.0 DTLS protocol version, right? You see it here. So that's one thing. Now by default we already know from our previous training that Zscaler ZCC adapter is MTU is 1400, right? You may want to change this to troubleshoot some problem, right? Maybe any specific problem, maybe you want to check it, change it to 1300. You save it and you see success, right? For to check if it's taking effect or not, you need to go to the ZCC tunnel logs, right? And that's where you can see that that has changed, but it's success, and we can confirm by that, yeah, that has taken effect, right? We can even run a packet capture and we can see what's the MTU it's sending now, right? One other thing is that disable, enable, and disable debug logs. At time, what happens that user do not have options to enable the debugging log, right? By default, you may have only the warning level logs, for this user, based on the the configuration in the mobile admin portal. But you really need debugging level logs to troubleshoot the problem. So what do? You change the you enable the debugging log, you save it, and that would enable the debugging logs for that user. Okay, once you reproduce a problem, maybe you disable the debugging level logs, and that'll go to the default setting you have from the portal. And now this is the one of the very important and most useful feature of this troubleshooting tool. So by default, right, when you run a ZCC application and you run a start packet capture option, it would capture the traffic for only 5 minutes, right? And you, if you're facing, if you're troubleshooting a slowness problem and you're downloading a file, uploading a file, which may take you more than 5 minutes, then you know this start, GCC packet capture won't help. You're gonna do a Wireshark capture locally on a system, because that won't capture the internal traffic on a LWF interface, right? Using LWF driver, right? So you need to rely on a ZCC only to capture the actual inside traffic, right? Inside traffic of a tunnel 2.0, but you want GCC to capture traffic for more than 5 minutes. So what do you do in that case? You enable this long running packet capture feature, and once you enable that feature, right, and you run a packet capture, this will capture the traffic for 500 minutes, right? So if you don't stop it, it won't capture for 500 minutes, right? And if you stop it, you can stop it anytime, after you have captured the traffic you needed, right? Now, this is again an important feature to basically troubleshoot the ZCC TLS or DTLS keep alive issues, mostly the DTLS one. So, for example, what happens that you see that tunnel keep flapping from DTLS to TLS, right? And tunnel would flap because there may be a packet loss happening, right? And usually what type of packet loss happens? The DTLS keep alive packet, right? So ZCC would do keep alive to the Zscaler DC to check if it's, if the connection, or if, if that's active, and, the health is okay, and the old path is fine, right? If it's not getting a response for these keep alive, if these keep alives are dropped in between, ZCC may drop that DTLS tunnel, right, or maybe a TLS tunnel as well. This feature would allow you to disable that keep alive check, right? As what would happen in that case, ZCC would would not send the keep alive, or even though if it sent the keep alive, it won't take any action based on that. Even though if you don't get a response of these keep alive, the ZCC would still remain, in the connection or connected status, right? So this is a very helpful tool to troubleshoot the problem. You don't have to make changes on a Zscaler mobile portal. For example, let me just say, in the forwarding profile, for example, if you're using tunnel 2.2, you don't have to switch from DLS to TLS, right? You don't have to switch protocol here. You don't have to change the MTU here, right? Because that will be for for everyone who's using that protocol. And yeah, that's what it is. And I think the the option, which is this debugging one, that's in the app profile, right? So what default log type, let's say this profile I open, and if you see the log mode is by default debug, like if it's a warning and you want to capture the debugging level log for that user, this will help, right? Yeah. So I hope this particular training helped you to understand this particular 127 0.0.1 colon the ZCC listening port troubleshooting, Zscaler user configuration troubleshooting tool. And I hope you can use it now very I mean, because now you understand it. I hope you can use it, and it would help you in troubleshooting the issue of a specific user. Thank you for watching. See you in our next training. Bye.